All right. Let's do this thing. Yeah. So I was trying to think about like what I could talk about related to 280 that hasn't been talked about over and over and over, where I could actually add some original thoughts. And I was just looking through the card, and it's like this card is so stacked, like just so obscenely stacked, that I realized, like, dude, people are missing over an enormous narrative related to this card, because you got Peter Yan, you got fighting O'Malley, and you got Charles Oliveira fighting against Islam Makhachev. And it's like, dude, I haven't heard anyone, I haven't heard anyone even entertain, like, dude, what if TJ Dillashaw wins the title back? Like, what, like, seriously, like, what if he wins the title back? Do you know how little he's fought in the last few years? I didn't even realize it until I just kind of, thinking about this entire thing. I was just like, what's the likelihood that he wins? And I'm like, well, let's just see, when was the last time he fought and how long was it before that? He's fought once in the last 3.5 years, dude. Once in the last 3.5 years. I was like, damn, like, that's crazy. If he wins, like, if he actually wins, that would be one of the most insane, to me, would be one of the most insane comebacks ever. Like that, for me personally, I would be, sorry, I got to open these a little better. I would be, I don't know what else to say other than, like, incredibly impressed if he actually pulls this off. Cause, like, again, dude, it's like, you know what? Here, I'll show all you guys. I will show, and then after this, we're going to talk about the upcoming schedule for UFC, which is crazy, dude. Which is crazy. I looked it up just today and was like, oh my God, look at, like, just a bunch of fights I didn't even realize were so close. Check this out. Check this out, dude. All right. Look at this. So he lost to Henry Cejudo January 19th, 2019. That's 4 years ago in January. And he's fought once since then against Corey Sandhagen in a really tight split decision, which is crazy. Dude, that is like, I don't know, man. That's not a lot of fights. One live fight in 3.5 years. If he comes back and he wins the title, because Aljamain, I realize, like, I don't know, like, I get the feeling that people don't think of Aljamain as like a, I don't know, like, and that I agree actually with this. I mean, it's not a fluke loss, but it doesn't really count. Remember, let's go back to that. Like, it doesn't really count because it was at 125. It was at like, this was not his weight class. He went down to 25. He got touched and just was like, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Henry Cejudo. Like, Cejudo's my dude. But, like, clearly Dillashaw did not belong at 125. I mean, like, obviously. Just because a guy can make 125 doesn't mean that they should fight at 125. Like, Anthony told me that, he actually said it in an article, and then I talked to him about it, that when he used to go to 85, he couldn't walk. He couldn't stand straight up without passing out. Like, he would, like, stand up and they would have to, like, slowly walk him, like, say they were cutting weight at a hotel next door to where they were going to weigh in. Like, just to go across the street, he would be, like, falling over. And then he would make weight and then he would go rehydrate. Okay, well, obviously, like I don't know, like obviously that's not like you're going to be fighting in that state. But if you can get yourself to a state where that weight, you literally can't stand up without anybody even touching you, then obviously the dehydration in your brain, everybody knows this, but, like, It's not like TJ got hit with a nuclear shot against Cejudo. Like he just got touched and he was like, you know. But, you know, before that, it's like this Dominic Cruz loss was insanely close. That could have easily gone either way. Absolutely, for sure, could have gone either way. And so before that, you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. You're like, in all honesty, if that Dominic Cruz decision goes this way, you're looking at 9 straight wins, and then you got Corey Sandhagen here. So you're looking at 10 straight wins at 35 if you gave him the Dominic Cruz fight, which, by the way, if you go and watch, you'll be able to see like so TJ's going to complain when he loses either way, right? I mean, at least if history serves, which was the Dominic Cruz fight, he complained because he didn't like the decision. And he also complained after the Cejudo one. The Cejudo one was ludicrous. Like I always watch it. I'm like, dude, I mean, well, it wasn't ludicrous that he complained about the stoppage. Like he could complain about the stoppage, but he was going to get stopped. Like it was just plain and simple. He was going to get stopped, dude. He couldn't take shots at that weight. It's not nothing against him. At 35, he can eat shots. Obviously. Garbrandt in the first fight hit him with a nuclear shot that he kind of only survived that because it was at the end of the first round. But nonetheless, he didn't go out. That shot was 10 times harder than anything that Cejudo hit him with, you know? So it's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the 25 was a failed experiment. So, and then that Dominic Cruz fight that he complained about, he had a good beef there. Like he could have very easily have been given that fight. I thought he won. I remember thinking that he won, but it was so close that it just didn't matter. Yeah, it was a little bit of an early stoppage again, but like there was nothing in that fight that indicated anything positive about TJ at 25. That's all I'm saying. It's not like, is what it is. But yeah, I mean, like, and he came back after that amount of time and he beat Sandhagen. Like, Sandhagen's a monster. Sandhagen is a monster. And also, TJ got his knee torn in, I believe, the second round. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that happened in the second round. So he fought for 3.5 rounds, a full fight, a full non-main event fight, plus 2 or 3 minutes with a torn ACL or whatever, and won, dude, and won. I mean, what are you going to say about that? Like, he's a gangster. He is a hyper-competitive lunatic. Like, that's for sure. Like, he has some character flaws that certainly fare well for him as a competitor. But I don't know. I mean, I just was thinking about this in terms of like, how is it going to be perceived if he wins? How is he? I thought Sandhagen could have been given that fight too. It was very close, but like if I was just thinking about, okay, like could he win? Of course he can win. He absolutely can win because he has a huge advantage over Aljo in the striking, especially because basically what Aljamain's striking style is a not as good version of TJ's striking style. Like Aljamain is a better grappler. TJ's a better striker. TJ uses that really like herky-jerky, unpredictable movement type of striking, exactly like Aljamain does. And he just does it better. I mean, he just does it better than Aljamain. But Aljamain is a boa constrictor. If that guy gets you in a bad spot on the ground, I mean, if he gets you on the ground, you're in a fucking bad spot, dude. He is, yeah. I mean, like if you watch, and it'll be interesting too, like hypothetically, I mean, I really think that O'Malley has a good shot of winning this Peter Yan fight. But let's say in this example, let's say Peter Yan wins and Peter Yan wins and TJ wins, right? I think most people are going to pick Peter Yan to win that fight. And depending on how each of them look in these fights, I actually might lean towards TJ in that fight. And the reason for that is if you go watch the first Aljamain and Peter Yan fight, where you watch when Aljo was fresh and he was implementing that herky-jerk style where it's, very, very unpredictable and kind of like, he doesn't follow a pattern and, it's done on purpose. And, he did well against Yan. And then when he slowed down, Yan started fucking him up. and then kneed him in the head while he was on the ground. But Jan has that really, really crisp, super kind of perfect striking style. And he's looking for rhythm. He's looking for patterns, and then he exploits them. And when you can't, when you're not giving him any pattern for him to counter off of, he doesn't do as well as when he's kind of waiting and he figures guys out and then he lights them up. Ron, thank you very much. Already forgave him after the Sandhagen fight. I get why people went hard on TJ, but act like he's the only dude who's ever used roids. Well, he got popped for EPO, not roids. And thank you for the super chat. So here are my thoughts on that. So I'm not a person who feels comfortable throwing rocks at people for shit that I've done, and I've never taken a substance to increase my athleticism in a sport that I was professionally competing in. But I know myself well enough to know that when I was in my 20s, if I suspected that other people were doing juice, I was going to do it. Like if I knew there was a way that you could get away with it, and I knew other people that I was competing with were doing it, I would just be like, fuck that, I would just be like, fuck that. Why are they going to get an edge over me that I don't get? Fuck those guys. It'd be more of so even though I've never done it, I remember exactly what I was like when I was that age, and I probably would have done it. And so, he did it. He got caught. Now here's the thing though. The reason why that's not the same the reason why I've always gone harder on TJ than I have on anyone else who's ever popped hot is because EPO is different for me. And the reason that it's different is because no one ever got caught doing EPO. I'm literally giving you an insight into my own brain. And when I was that age, that is exactly how I would have thought about it. Is okay, well, if all these other guys are doing it, I'm not going to walk into a competition with a disadvantage. Fuck that. I'm not going to do it. But no one ever was using EPO, no one ever got caught for EPO. So that thought process, that is different. To me, that would be I'm going to give myself an advantage that I know for sure these guys don't have. And I would never do that. That I would not do. That I just wouldn't do. I wouldn't do that. So, and also I just honestly, if you were let's say I was going to compete in some combat sport, and you were okay, look, you can either drastically increase your strength and speed, or you could have eternal endurance. I would take eternal endurance all day. Now it might be because I'm already fast and strong, but dude, being able to go full throttle forever, EPO to me, if it really works like they say it does, where you could just boom, 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 and just keep going. And that's if there's an EPO component to these guys that are just still rocking in the fifth like they were in the first, that's insane to me, dude. That's insane. Okay, so Kaiman, thank you very much. Rob had 4 minutes of ground control on Izzy. If Hamzat beats Costa, would they even be willing to give up one cash cow on Izzy for another in Hamzat? So if I'm reading this correctly, the question is, will they give Hamzat a fight against Izzy because they know he's going to beat him? I assume that's what we're saying, right? Yeah, they would. The UFC gets a bad rap in a lot of areas. I was just talking about this with someone else. It's probably room service. Hang on for a second. Or not room service.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Maybe you need into service bar. You want drinks? Maybe.
Just water.
Only water.
Yeah. Sorry. I'll just take this from you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good day, sir.
Thank you. All right. So, yeah, the UFC gets a bad rap in a bunch of categories, but one thing that they don't do is I don't think that they've ever protected their champions, you know, like that, like they protect guys on their way up, you know, like they'll certainly give guys favorable matchups. O'Malley up to now, this is certainly not a favorable matchup. It's still kind of in the same category because it's the toughest fight for him. And they're giving him Jan under the best circumstances for him to potentially win. So it's kind of the same. But like obviously Conor on his way up, you know, the only wrestler that he faced was Chad Mendes up until he was going to fight Aldo. And then Mendes had to step in. But once guys are champions, they don't do that. Like once a guy's a champion, they fight the best fucking guys, you know, assuming that the guy does not, the guy's not a total non-draw. Like if there's a guy who is a total fucking savage, but no one knows who he is, then they don't give that guy a title shot. But that's not because it's not because he's too good. They're doing it because they can't sell the fight. You know what I mean? Like that's why. But no, I don't think that they'll protect Izzy from Hamzat at all. That's exactly what I'm saying. That the only reason he even fought Mendes is because Aldo broke his rib. So yeah, I thought another thing, you know what? Actually, I'm going to talk about this too. So this right here, I want to talk about two things actually. Well, actually, I'm just going to just keep this in bantamweight for now. So one thing that I think about all the time is that the first TJ and Garbrandt fight, right? The end of the first round, Garbrandt put a shot on TJ that would have been the end of the fight if the time didn't run out, right? Like for all intents and purposes, he knocked TJ out, you know, or would have been a TKO had they had another, call it 20 seconds. He would have finished TJ, but the time ran out. You know, they went back to their respective corners. Garbrandt was he's the new champion. He just beat Dominic Cruz. He just blitzkrieged TJ Dillashaw. This is when he's undefeated in the UFC, right? And he's feeling himself, dude. And he's walking back and forth in his corner. He's like, "You're going down right now." And he got overconfident and TJ knocked him out, right? I think about this all the time. Like if whenever I think about TJ and Garbrandt, is like if they would have had 20 more seconds and Garbrandt would have finished TJ right there, I honestly think that I'm not sure if Garbrandt would have lost yet. Like I'm not sure if he would have lost because, you know, now he's a champion who's defended his belt. He's a superstar. He's he's obviously a guy who runs really heavy on confidence. He might have at some point gotten overconfident, sat in the pocket and gotten caught like he does now. But I just like, it's crazy how in this sport, millimeters can change a person's life completely. You know, like just millimeters can change a person's life. Because Cody is one of the most charismatic guys in the UFC. And it's like, I was talking about this on my other live stream where I was talking about Kyle from Nelk Boys, where it's like, okay, well, obviously, which of the Nelk Boys is the star? Like, which one of them is the Justin Timberlake from NSYNC? It's obviously Kyle. And you're like, okay, well, why? It's like, I don't know. He just is, dude. Like, you could just see it. If they're all in a room, they're all talking just as much as the other ones. He's the guy. Like, he's the star. And Garbrandt, if you tried to put your finger on what it is, you couldn't. But he's a fucking star. Like, Garbrandt is a star. He just needs to, as I've been saying for a long, long time. And now that he's training with Extreme Couture, I message Eric Nixick. I'm like, now that I know you're working with Garbrandt, I just need to say this one thing. I will never tell you how to coach, but I just need to say this one thing. If it were me, I would forbid Garbrandt from knocking out his next opponent. Like, just tell him to fight exactly like he fought against Dominic Cruz every time he fights. Because against Dominic Cruz, Dominic was never getting knocked out. Like he had never gotten, so he had like let knockout go. Like it's literally the only difference. Like the only difference was like when he's fighting against Dominic Cruz, he let go of the knockout, dude. And then so he just used his footwork. Like if you watch his footwork, dude, he moves like the dude literally floats on the canvas. Like he's so light on his feet. Like I like watching him hit pads on the canvas. I love watching him move around because he's so light on his feet. It's fucking amazing. And that's how, you know, when he fought Dominic Cruz, it was one of the best performances of all time. But then he got caught up in the knockout game, you know. But yes. Okay, so not only did I call it, I texted Caesar the day after that fight. So I was going to interview Caesar 2 days after the Diaz fight. And I texted Caesar the night before our interview. And I was like, you should get Nate to fight Mayweather. That's the money fight. Now, I have no idea if that had any impact on him actually getting this fight. But that is, if they do that fight, I don't really understand. I don't know Ryzen's like, I don't know how they do things. They would, you would think that they would party with a, They would partner with a domestic pay-per-view distributor for that fight. But anyway, so yeah. So wait, what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, right. And then, so I wanted to go through all of the potential outcomes for O'Malley, Yan, Aljamain, and TJ, and then just think through like what the implications are. If this, then that, right? So you got option one would be Aljamain wins and Yan wins. And I think that's the least interesting, obviously, because then you probably get Yan versus Aljamain 3. It's a fight we've seen twice, both times with controversy. You know, there seems to be such a clear picture of what that matchup looks like because those guys have such incredibly developed skills in their own respective area. Aljamain's grappling is light years ahead of Peter Yan's. Aljamain's grappling is absolutely bananas, dude. Go watch what he did to Corey Sandhagen. Like he literally wrapped him up and strangled him just instantly. And then, you know, for 2 straight rounds at 273, he completely subdued Peter Yan. Completely. If there's no end to the rounds, Yan's never getting out of there. Like the only reason Yan is able to get out of that position that he was put in is because it's like end of the round, everyone let go of everyone. Like he would have never gotten out of there. Never. Aljamain had his back in a body triangle, trying to, you know, just punching him, trying to strangle him. He would never, ever have gotten out of there. So you've got, it just doesn't like, you know, and then you go, dude, because Guru the Musical is my dude, brother. What's up, musical, Scooby-Doo and Shred? Welcome. Trayvon, I agree with that. But anyway, so, and then you've got a striking advantage that leans in Peter Yan's favor. I already said on the stream that Aljamain gives him a little bit of trouble early on when he's really herky-jerky, just because that's Peter Yan likes to fight against guys that he can time. But Aljamain doesn't have gas to do that for 5 rounds. And so you already know in the 4th and 5th round that Peter Yan is going to fucking batter Aljamain. If they get to 4 and 5, Peter Yan is going to batter him. And if he gets out grappled in the first 2, you're going to end up with the same type of deal, like the same kind of, really, really kind of tight fight that anyway. So that's the least interesting. So if you get Aljamain and O'Malley, that's very interesting. You know, O'Malley versus anyone is very interesting, obviously. Matter of fact, okay, so let's say O'Malley won. Would I rather watch him fight TJ or TJ for sure? For sure. Just in terms of what fight I would rather watch, O'Malley versus TJ would be insane. Because again, if TJ does win, what you're actually looking at is basically this is now the O'Malley era. And what would be so here, you know what? Let me actually rewind. What would be so crazy if TJ won is that this whole thing where all of us are like, dude, bantamweight is the shit, which it is. But it would seem like it was actually like a mirage. Because, right before TJ was ousted, it seemed like there was no one at bantamweight. Like, you guys remember that? Like, it was like at 135, you're all, okay, you got TJ. Like, who's he going to fight, man? Like, who's he going to fight? You didn't feel like there were any real contenders there. That's why he went down to 25. Like, when guys move weight classes, it's because they've cleared out the fucking division. Like, Volkanovski being the backup for UFC 280, that's not because, there's a million guys for him to fight at 45. It's because he already beat everybody, And so he's like, all right, yeah, I'll go be a backup at 55. That's where we were at before TJ left. Then TJ left, and then they did that whole bantamweight showcase where they had like all the bantamweight fights, and everyone was like, fuck, dude, there are some killers at 35. And then Peter Yan kind of emerged as the guy. Like, Peter Yan's the best guy. He hasn't fought all these guys, so we got a lot of matchups to work out. And you got O'Malley coming up, and like there's just a ton of guys at bantamweight. If TJ comes back and wins, and he's the champion, you're like, really? It was really just TJ all along? Like, it was just TJ all along through all of that. So anyway, I mean, that would be interesting. But then if TJ fought O'Malley and O'Malley beat TJ, it would be easy to say like, oh, okay, passing of the torch. Now we're in the fucking O'Malley era. Of course, that depends. That would, in order to be able to like say it like that confidently as like, MMA fans, I'm obviously not educating any of you guys, but like, when we had that conversation with people who don't really understand, it would be like, for us to talk like that, O'Malley would have had to starch Peter Yan and probably starch TJ or just whip his ass. Like, he would have to dominate both guys for us to be able to like confidently say like the O'Malley era started and not sound fucking ridiculous like fanboys. But anyway, I saw what Trayvon said about O'Malley being 6'1" and picking Yan apart. And let me see something really quick, because like O'Malley is really tall, but I just want to make sure that. Oh, get the fuck out of here! I'm in fucking Mexico. They're not gonna. Okay. They're telling me in meters and shit. Wait, that can't be right. That can't be right. In Mexico, it's saying he's 5'9". I know that's not right. That can't be right. Hang on. Let me look this up over here. Sure, it's listed in feet in. Okay, they got him at 5'11". So they got him at 5'11". So. Oh, okay. He's not. Yeah. So he's 5'11". Okay. So like, but so I'm 5'10", and like Peter Yan walked right in front of us at 273. So like, believe me, I got a real good look at how big he is. I mean, we were literally like, I don't know if anybody's on here who was with us at 273, but like I'm talking, he is a small, he's a fucking brick house. Like he doesn't look fragile. He just looks short, like he's a short guy. He's like 5'5", something like that. And, so O'Malley's taller than I am, and he's got longer arms. He's got like that. He's like a lanky 5'11", I'm like a compact 5'10". And like, if I'm sparring with a guy who is 5'5", I mean, that's just such an enormous fucking reach advantage, dude. It's like, I'm not saying that I would fucking do well against Peter Yan. Let me just make sure I'm making that perfectly clear. Not at all. I am definitely not the height of Joe Rogan. I'm taller than Joe Rogan. But again, Joe Rogan would fucking beat the shit out of me too. He'd throw one of those spinning back kicks into my ribs and shatter them all. But I'm just saying, like, if it's someone of similar skill level, if I'm sparring against someone who's identical to my skill level and they're 5'5", I'm going to fuck their shit up. Like I'm going to fuck them up. It's just that it's so hard to cover ground like that. But like Peter Yan obviously is probably the best kind of kickbox Muay Thai base. I don't even like saying Muay Thai base because it's not really Muay Thai. It's like, round kicks, punches, and elbows, but it's not Muay Thai, because Muay Thai doesn't work in MMA. because you just get taken down. But yeah, like I just think O'Malley's going to be able to use his reach so well, because O'Malley, not only is he 5'11", he uses his reach so fucking well. He's got a fantastic jab. He's got a great, like his front kick is great. He throws side kicks. He throws spinning back kicks. It's like, I mean, literally, like I feel like now I'll reverse that and just try to imagine myself. Actually, hang on. I'll be done in 10 and see you in 15. Send. But on the flip side of that, so 5'5", 5'6" to 5'10". So this, it's like when you factor in like how lanky he is and the ability for him to use his reach, it's probably like me sparring someone who's like 6'3" or 6'4", a lanky, like, because that's actually a direct 1-to-1, and fuck, that shit's hard, man. Like that shit is so fucking hard. Like when a guy's like 5 inches taller, 6 inches taller than you, and they know how to use a front, you're just like, you end up feeling like you have to run at them, you know, like you have to like run at them. Like I'm not a good weight for striking, because I'm too, like, I weigh too much for how tall I am. Like I have to like, I always just literally would like watch Tyson videos and just be like, I just need to do that. Like, cause Tyson was always shorter. It's just jab, and just try to moving so I can get close to him. And if they have good footwork and they can use their length well, it's really hard to get close. And fucking O'Malley has phenomenal footwork and uses his fucking length very, very, very well. Wait, hang on. Wait, Peter Yan knocks O'Malley out if he can get it. Well, I mean, I mean, and O'Malley knocks Yan out if he can get to his chin. I mean, that's like, you know. See, this is kind of where I'm at. This is it. Like, this is exactly kind of where I'm at. Like, everyone acts like Yan is unbeatable, but if you actually, you know what? Let's do this together. Check this out. All right. Now, I am not, dude, listen, I think Yan is a fucking killer. I'm just purely talking about like the matchup. Okay, so this says he's 5'7". That would shock me if he's actually 5'7". Now, when we were sitting, we were elevated maybe like a foot. So he was walking below us, but I just watched 100 other people. Like, he was the second to last fight. I watched every other person walk in. He's like the height. I mean, how tall they have Mackenzie Dern? He was like the same height as Mackenzie Dern. Anyway, okay, so Yan, like I've been saying forever, Sandhagen right here, this is the only fight stylistically recently that resembles O'Malley at all. And Sandhagen is a different puzzle to solve than O'Malley. Like, Sandhagen doesn't, you know, I mean, he throws some of the same stuff, but he's like, Sandhagen is a guy who's going to like explosively move in your direction. Those knees, those all, like, he's great with elbows, etc. Like, O'Malley is specifically exceptional at using his reach, even though Sandhagen is also, if I remember correctly, probably around 5'11". Yep, same size. But against like Aljo is not, doesn't look like Peter Yan, or doesn't look like O'Malley at all. Aldo obviously doesn't look like Aldo. What? Aldo does not look. Jesus, I've been in fucking Mexico too long. Oh wait, hang on. Gabrielle's texting me. I think I forgot our mineral sunscreen HEB. If you find it, bring it. That is a long text about sunscreen. Uriah Faber, obviously not comparable. You know what it is, dude? You know what? I really wish more than anything that on these streams they would give all of us permission to use, like, when so as an example, I wonder how we could ask them for this. But like, you know how the UFC makes a bunch of fights public before pay-per-views? You know, like they like, you know, if like I go to YouTube and I go to UFC's page right now, like, you would see a bunch of fights from guys who are fighting on UFC 280 that are like ones that they want people to watch, right? Like where they're like, oh, okay, look, here's Peter Yan fighting against, blah, 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 right? And it's like, oh, wait. Yeah, like, let me see what they have up right now. So, like they have they have O'Malley versus Thomas Almeida. They've got Dillashaw versus Sandhagen. They've got Peter Yan versus Aljo, etc. Right? I wish the UFC would give us, like creators, like permission to do videos on those fights. Like I actually think that would be really smart for the UFC. Like I obviously understand why they don't do it normally. Like they don't give us access to but it should be like some kind of like temporary access that we can go like actually watch these fights live stream and kind of go through them with our viewers. Like all we're doing is hyping the event. All we're doing is hyping the event. I don't know. It seems like that would be the right thing to do. Because again, I would show you guys the Peter Yan against Uriah Faber fight, just because Faber actually had success against him. I mean, he did. He had success against him, and he obviously ended up getting fucked. If you just saw the end of that fight, you'd be like, success. Uriah got fucked up like later in that fight, but Uriah did pretty well early on, especially given how old he was and I think he was like 42 years old in that fight or something like that. But I just watched that particular fight and just imagined that being O'Malley. I'm like, geez, man, Uriah is really fast and quick, but he's very, very short. And O'Malley has tremendous reach. And he's just certainly as accurate, if not more accurate, with anything he's going to throw. Geez, Gabby, I promise. If you're watching, I promise I'll bring the sunscreen down to the pool. I promise. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know, man. Like maybe they do something where you can, I don't know. I don't want to make it super complicated. As soon as you get into things that are complicated, then they're not going to do it. But hypothetically, you could potentially do something where people were allowed to live stream and engage in live discussions with people about those fights, right? And that way you could, as a creator, keep any super chat revenue and they can have any ad revenue or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I really don't see what the downside of that would be, Well, you can't just try it. Cause here's exactly what would happen. If I did it, they'll just block this stream. And I can get a strike for it, actually. Well, I don't care what he said. You're blocked. Oh, wait, I didn't really mean to do that. I was just joking. How do I undo that? Sorry, dude. I didn't really mean to block you. Yes, I am. I'm going on Schaub's Fight Companion with Mitrione and what's his name? And Frank Mir. They just booked my travel. I'm going October 29th. Dude, I have not talked to Unique lately. Oh, Guru's going to interview Strickland. That'll be fun, dude. Strickland's fucking awesome. He's one of the only guys I would interview him if he was around. Strickland's fucking hilarious. Yeah, we were supposed to have Cheeto too. I'm not doing any fucking YouTube boxer shit unless I'm getting paid a lot or there's some kind of unless I'm doing it against someone who's significantly more famous than me. What's the upside? You know what I mean? What's the upside of me doing you know, some boxing shit. If people are going to pay me a lot of money, fucking I'll do whatever. I would go get knocked out by fucking whoever if they're going to pay me enough money. But yeah, I'm competing in jiu-jitsu in like actual competitions. That's what I'm focused on. I'm going to watch this, obviously. I texted Shab about that last night. I was like, oh, dude, I'm excited to watch this shit. Guru's not in a fucking wheelchair, dude. He's not in a wheelchair. At least that's what fucking, I mean, if he is, then I'm assuming that is a fucking rumor started by his fans, because as far as I know, he's not in a fucking wheelchair. I've seen enough of it that like I don't actually know. But I'm like, I would say if I had to bet, I'm like 90% true, 90% sure that's not true. Yes, you can. Just show like hey, I just bring like 9 people. Like I just bring like 9 random people with me. They're all, who are these guys? I'm like, oh, this is my posse, dude. There are seats for them, right? They're all, I mean, we don't have microphones. It's like, I mean, listen, make it work. Because Shab has a show, so I don't think he's gonna, at least as of now, I don't think he's gonna be there. And so yeah, like I'm like hosting, I think. And so, you know, like with like his producers, I'm like, you guys, it's a new fucking era, dude. We just bring random people here, mic them all up, man. We're doing a real fight companion now. Let's go. Let's get 14 people on here, all talking over each other. It's a meme. That's what I figured. Thank you, sir. Dude. He's not in a fucking wheelchair. But yes, that's correct. I'm not fighting anyone in a wheelchair. Ever. Dude, I did a short about this. Wait, how long ago did I say I would be done in 10 minutes? Fuck, 12 minutes ago. Okay, I gotta go. Or else Gabrielle's gonna be angry with me. As much as I like hanging out with you guys, this is my favorite thing to do. Just so we're clear, this is my favorite thing to do. I fucking love doing this shit. I was thinking about that yesterday where I was like, I was at the pool. I'll leave you guys with this. When I was at the pool, I was literally, I mean, look at this is where I am. So, and I was at the pool and I was like, man, I'm like, why am I like, isn't this like the pinnacle of what anybody wants to do? Like mango margarita, hot wife, my kids, like bunch of new friends that like, I'm just, you know, I don't know. I'm having a good time, but like, whatever. And I'm like, I understand how Twitch streamers sit and do this all day. Like certain people who are wired for it, like I am, like I could just literally sit here and bullshit with you guys all day, dude. Like all day. It would seem like the time literally just like I feel like I've been on here for 3 minutes. It's been 44 minutes. It's fucking embarrassing. But anyway, I got to run. Love you guys. I'll be on later at some point, and I'll be back on Saturday evening or something. Anyway, peace.